Start recording. All right, I'm going to start now. Greetings, everyone. Greetings and welcome to Progressive Discussions Hard-Hitting Truth Podcasts. And we are representing the Facebook group called the International Brotherhood of Polybonds, which represents old school ancient warrior fitness and circular training. And I have a very special guest with me, the one and only Jeff the Mauler Zambello. He is a competitive professional kettlebell athlete, and as you can see the photo right next to me, and also an enthusiast in circular training. Jeff, very happy to have you on our show, our live show on YouTube.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, Jeff is
all the way from Canada.
Jeff is originally from the Boston, Massachusetts area, now lives in the maritime provinces of Canada. Okay, where they got all kinds of lovely smoked herring and salmon and all that good stuff.
And lots of pretty freckle-faced, red-headed girls.
Freckle-faced girls that know how to smoke a good herring.
There you go.
Hey, that sounds a little risque.
They know how to swallow a nice glass of whiskey too.
Oh, I got my grants a Scotch whiskey for a small family-owned business, because once I noticed the quality is always better with a small family-owned business.
That's right. Lot of care, just like owner managed restaurants.
That's right. Exactly. This is my first in years. This is my first non-dual video podcast, because we were gonna have Jeff Zambello on video, but that motherfucker on Facebook screwed us up. That hawk-nosed geek did not allow me to incorporate Jeff Zambello's video in this podcast, but you will hear his words of wisdom just the same. Just like you see him.
That hook-nose wants all the control.
Yeah, just like you see him right now with the kettlebell in his hand. That profile photo he uses. Profile. Ed Norton said that on Honeymooners. But we're doing fireside chat style, and actually, as long as you mute the audio, if you go to youtube.com/megalife21, you'll be able to see the live YouTube show. Now, we're going to talk about old school ancient warrior fitness, drug-free fitness, the way it used to be. And I'll just tell you how I got introduced to all this, and then you can share your history. When I was a kid, I looked up to my Uncle Frank. My Uncle Frank was a professional ballroom dancing teacher. He worked for Gene Kelly and Fred Kelly. And he was the first person in our family to be involved with holistic health and working out. In those days, you had like Vic Tanny gym, and then European Health Spa, and you had greats back then that inspired him, like Steve Reeves, John Grimmick, Bob Hoffman of the York Barbell Company, Dan Lurie, all the greats. He's the one that got my mother and I started in exercise and holistic health. He introduced us to Prevention magazine, Let's Live magazine, and weight training, and we learned a lot. In those days, the late great Carlton Fredericks was on the radio, Adele Davis. So Jack LaLanne, we cannot forget the great guru Jack LaLanne, Paul Bragg, who was Jack LaLanne's mentor. So I'm not mentioning Joe Weider, because that son of a bitch, he was trained by Bob Hoffman. He was a York barbell man, and then he went into business. He was a co-editor, I think, of a muscle magazine that I think was out of Jersey City, New Jersey, somewhere around here. But after Joe Weider moved to the West Coast, to LA, Santa Monica, whatever, and went out on his own, and somebody named him the Master Blaster. He denied any affiliation with the great Bob Hoffman of York Barbell. He just denied him completely and made it sound like, well, I did it on my own. I never did anything with Bob Hoffman. I don't owe any kudos or any accolades to Bob Hoffman. So he basically pulled one of those routines, which happens, unfortunately, in fitness and in life. So going into the future, I was mostly a studier of York Barbell Company and Bob Hoffman books. Okay. Yes, as a youth, I was a sucker. I believe Joe Weider's muscle and fitness advertisements were true, that Dave Draper owed his physique to consuming Weider supplements, drinking that crappy sugar-laden, soybean-laden protein powder that Joe Weider advertised, and of course Arnold too, and everybody said they owed everything to Joe Weider supplements. Didn't mention anything about Diana Ball or Anadrol or what's the other one? D-ball. Well, that was like, from what I understand.
Steroids.
Yeah, from what I understand, Arnold used to suck them down like they were candy, the D-ball tablets, Diana Ball tablets. But, it was always Joe Weider's products. So, all right.
Yeah, sure. Joe Weider.
Yeah. So, as a sucker, as a kid, I believed it. I ordered the curling bar with the horn, the bicep blaster that you put around your neck.
Oh yeah, that stupid thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes in front of your belly there with the stupid nylon strap that chokes the back of your neck, for Christ's sakes.
Not only that, it dug the hell into my rib cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the gimmicks. There were gimmicks that were good, like the German.
Actually, that spring thing was pretty good. The thing that Arnold used to twist.
Oh yeah, the chest expander with the springs. Yeah. That was good. And
you do your lower pecs, and if you did it the other way, it did your upper pecs with your shoulders.
Exactly. And the telepander by Jerk Cobell, the German who invented the bullworker later on. He started.
Bullworker number 1 was the best.
Bullworker number 1 blew away the second version of the bull's balls. I mean, bullworker. The first version was more challenging. The second one was too weak because maybe they felt sorry for the general public. Oh, the poor things must have been belly aching that they couldn't push the bullworker together. They couldn't use it, and but the telepander, actually, the late great Killer Kowalski, who used to travel between arenas by himself because he was a straight-laced guy that didn't drink or do drugs, or he wanted a clean. If you wanted a carpool with him, you couldn't do no smoking, no drugs, no nothing. So he ended up driving by himself, and he used to say that as he was driving, he would work out with the isometric telepander. By Jerk Cobell, yeah, and isometrics, I think, goes back to a Russian man during World War I. His last name was Zass. Rick Brown told me about him.
I think it's Arthur Zass.
He used chains, Jeff. He used chains for isometrics.
Was he in prison there?
Yes.
He was in prison or something?
Yeah, and then later on, he became a circus strongman. And he used chains. I think he made like a figure 8 or something. And I did it myself with I still have my chains that I used to use with the York barbell as an automatic spotter. I used to wrap the chains around the bar, and the top part there was a hole in the uprights of the York bench. I used to run the chain through the hole in the upright, come down around the bar, and then you know, if I would have an accident and the bar would like stop like 2 inches above my chest, I would just turn my head like this, Jeff, and just slide right out from under the chain, from under the bar. But anyway, I saved those chains. So I made a ZAS style isometric device. And I first learned about Mr. ZAS through Rick Brown, the Mr. Mace Man told me about him. And I looked him up and I learned something new, which means you can never underestimate the power of networking in any specific field.
That's right.
You know, you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what you're going to learn from who you meet. Now, that being said, we come into the future with steroid abuse. We don't have to really go into detail. Enough has been said about steroids, and those who lie that say they're all natural. And and the overpriced gymnasiums with the fancy machines and everything. Listen, Scooby on YouTube is absolutely right. Our muscles do not know the difference between a rusty old piece of crap set of barbell plates and the expensive designer plates. Our muscles do not know a damn difference. You know, so resistance is resistance, whether it be a small granite boulder doing curls and presses with a hunk of granite like a caveman, or using a log like Hank Bakker of the Netherlands. I don't know if you've ever seen Hank Bakker's homemade gym made out of.
I like all the stuff. Yeah, and he uses anchors and everything else.
He uses chains and links that they use in the shipyard in the Netherlands. Very, very clever man, how he incorporated these devices. And he also made a gym consisting of logs. He made log barbells, log dumbbells, a log bench. I mean, when you talk about hardcore ancient warrior training, it makes you think of Hank Bakker. I'm very impressed with what he's done. He never made a video of him swinging his mace before, but he does work out with his other implements. I forgot what he calls them, ship bells or link.
I don't know. Look him up.
Now,
I already looked up Alexander Zas.
Alexander's, is it Z-A-S-S or Z-A?
That's right, Z-A-S-S. He was born in 1888 and he died in 1962. Was a Russian strongman, a professional wrestler, and an animal trainer.
Wow, he lived that long, 1962.
Yeah, born in 1888 in Vilnius, then a part of the Russian Empire of Lithuania.
I wonder
During World War I, he served in the Russian army fighting against the Austrians. However, Zas was taken as a prisoner of war 4 times, but managed to escape each time. As a prisoner, he pushed and pulled his cell bars as part of strength training, which was cited as an example of the effectiveness of isometrics. At least one of his escapes involved him breaking chains and bending bars. He went on to promote the use of isometric exercises.
Okay.
So it helped him escape prison.
Now, I'm very glad you looked it up, because this is a very important part of old school fitness history. So the people are getting, the young folks out there are getting a history lesson about isometrics. And from what I understand, Charles Atlas built his physique the conventional way, and not with his dynamic tension. He was just trying to sell that, market dynamic tension, and which was isometrics under a different name.
He lived to be 84 years old.
Yeah. His last name.
1988. He died 26 September 1962.
Wow. Wow, that means that says a lot about exercise, about his training. You know, Alexander Zast, probably the father of isometrics. You know, but
Yep, he was.
yeah, I'm sure someone before him must have turned him on to isometrics, or you know, maybe he did discover it on his own. You know, by pulling and on the bars of a
The
prison.
prisoner, he pushed and pulled his cell bars as part of strength training.
Interesting. The push and pull, because when you push, you're using shoulders, triceps, and pectorals, and as you pull, you're using forearms, biceps, and back.
So he probably had his left hand and his right hand on a separate cell bar, and he pushed with one and pulled with the other hand, and then after a minute or so, switched,
Yeah, he probably
pulled,
used. Yeah,
pushing with the other hand.
he probably used the vertical bars, perhaps for
Yep.
pushing or pulling, and then the horizontal bars, and then you can actually you can change off because there's a different effect between the pronation and supination position of your hand. Like
Yeah.
if you're holding a pair of dumbbells with your palms facing each other, as opposed to pronation, which I believe is palms facing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. One's pushing away from your body, and the other one's pulling towards your
yeah,
body. I forget with pronation or supination. One's pushing away from your body, and the other one's pulling towards your body.
right.
So if you're doing a pull up, that means you're pulling the bar towards your body. If you're doing a push up, that means you're pushing
Yeah,
away from your body.
there's pull-ups and then there's chin-ups, which is a difference in hand position. You know, I think pronation and supination is a very important part of strength training, just as muscle confusion is very important. You know, changing your workout system every 2 or 3 weeks or so, drastically changing your exercises all the time, and you know, never get the muscles accustomed to the same movement for very long.
That's what I like about the steel clubs because you can change all kinds of routines. And then you can also do reverse lunges with them. You could do barbarian squats with a mace or a steel
Right.
club. You can do all kinds of stuff. You could do. You could actually take do push-ups and do the renegade rows. You know, if you have
Right.
a steel club or a mace, just put your hand, pull the head of the mace up like in a row,
Right.
and then roll it to your next arm on your next push-up
Right.
because it's round, and then just do the other hand. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, and muscle confusion is very important. I learned that from a book by John Grimmick, the great John Grimmick, from the 1950s. Yeah, muscle confusion. Every 2 weeks you change your system.
What do
But
you know about the Jones? Because you're talking about different pioneers.
I'm not familiar with him. Maybe you
He's the
are.
one who invented Nautilus.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know what I like better than Nautilus? I love the Universal Machine.
Oh yeah, I like that in high school and stuff. Yeah.
You know why? Because it was a circle, and you didn't have to go far to do like chest and back, or biceps and triceps. Let's say you want a superset, which is another great technique. You
Yeah.
didn't have to go far with the Universal.
Exactly. And you can do like the bench press, but then if you stood up, you could do shoulder shrugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you stood on the bench, then you could actually row that bench press machine.
Exactly. Exactly. So I I'm very, I always tell people that they laugh at me when I mention networking, but you know what? I had an ex girlfriend who used to put me down for talking to strangers, to talking to people all the time. I says, you know how much I learn by talking to people that I don't know? It's the same thing with social media. You learn a lot. You learn about people like Alexander Zass and isometrics and how to make your own equipment. You learn from Hank Barker. You learn from I even learned from you about the infamous fence post driving maul hammers that we're going to talk about now. Those great 16-pound hammers that only cost you $30 a piece. I mean, what a value in fitness that is, instead of spending $400 or $500 or $650 on Persian clubs, which I'm not taking anything away from the clubs. You know, they're beautiful. But you know, I'm not gonna. It's not a dining room set or a living room set. You know, I'm not gonna pay no $650. So I don't care if you bless them, if you say prayers over them. I don't care. You know. Ken Thiessen showed me on Craigslist that for several $1,000s they were selling computerized lathes where you can just punch in the coordinates of what you wanted to make and just sit on a lawn chair with a cold beer and watch your clubs being made within like minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so forget about being an artisan and praying and blessing your clubs, you know, and forget all about that, all that mumbo jumbo.
Blessing the tree before you cut it down.
What was that again?
And blessing the tree before you cut it down.
Bless the tree before you cut it down. And
well, they used to bless the lamb before they sacrificed the lamb in the Old Testament.
Well, that was nice of them. They blessed the lamb before cutting his throat.
Yeah, then they ate the meat.
That was before Jesus, the ultimate sacrifice. Then all the animal sacrificing was no
all
longer.
The high priests.
Yeah, the Pharisees and all the high priests, they used to bless the lamb and sacrificial lamb, and so when they bless the clubs, you can bless the tree. You can rub your sweaty balls up against it if you want, you know.
Yeah.
And then you cut it down, and then you got to kiln dry the wood, because if you don't kiln dry the wood, KILN,
well, you get cracks in the wood.
It cracks on the lathe. Yes, sir. It cracks on the lathe. Don't fret about the lack of visualization. You will see this podcast when it's done, and you know, it's quite nice. But you know, I had to do what I had to do. But anyway, getting back to the maul hammer now. You got you purchased yours at Home Depot. Is that correct?
Yeah. In the lawn and garden section.
Okay, now maybe True Value Hardware has it also. I saw heavier sledgehammers at True Value than I did at Home Depot. What's the other company? Ace Hardware? Is that another company?
Ace and True Value.
Ace and True Value. Now I'm wondering, you know what would be fantastic if they made a 16-pound mallet. If they put neoprene rubber coating over the hammerhead. Not that you really, I mean, if you're an expert at swinging, you probably can do it without bashing yourself in the skull with it, you know. But nevertheless, so let's say somebody is looking for Persian clubs and they see.
Yeah, but you wouldn't swing a heavy club to begin with, so you'd never hit your head. You'd always start with the light stuff, like Paul. I forget how to say his last name.
Paul Walkowinski.
Yeah, he's not going to start you out with 7-pound Persian meals in each hand. He's going to start you out with 2 pounds in each hand.
Well, you have when I used to work for pro wrestling for over 10 years, I knew the Iron Sheik, and he told me 2 things. don't spend a lot of money on having somebody make your clubs. Make your own.
Go get a sledgehammer and cut the handle down.
Yeah, he says make your own gimmick. He says make your own clubs, and he says always start off light and work your way up in progression. And
Yeah.
it's like the kids, when you see videos of zircones in Iran, you see little kids with little meals, with light meals, and you're not going to hit yourself in the head if you progressively work up. Like you said. Now, a pair of maul hammers, that's $60. That's a hell of a lot better than $650 for but I think the 16-pound maul hammer might be more challenging than the 20-pound Persian meal made of wood because of torque. Because the maul hammer,
it's got a nice long handle.
Right, it's got hickory too, which is one of the most durable of all woods, and has most of the weight on the end.
That's right.
So 16 pounds might feel heavier than perhaps even a 20-pound wooden club.
It depends who makes them. If they're not conical shaped and they're shaped like a wine bottle, then where's the torque?
Now that's another thing. Now
the torque's at the front where your hands are. Now, I don't want the torque where my hands is. I want the torque at the end.
Right. And like Kent Easton said, never use duct tape because it's too slippery. Use like medical tape, which is like cloth. It feels like cloth. But as your forearms and grip get stronger, you will be able to grip that hickory handle on the end.
Well, that's right, because I use chalk. When I first started, now I don't even need the chalk because I have confidence.
Right, you have the confidence and you have the grip power in your forearms,
That's right, because when you first start, your forearms are killing. But then after, 6 months, a year, whatever, it depends, I use it a lot. You get such a strong grip. Like when I go to deadlifting competitions, it's a big plus.
Right. Yeah.
My fingers are strong. I have mobility in my wrist bones that I never had before. Because when you swing a mace, you have to know when to let go of power and when to get it back in the cycle of each rep. Like this, because you want it to float. And you want something called flexion. Like you don't want to hurt your wrist, so you have to know how to feel and how to turn the angles. Like if you look at my video from this morning, you can see where I twist it. When it's down, when it's behind my head, or when I have my hands in front of my belly button.
Okay.
And it's flexion, because you can't keep your wrist the same because you'll break the little bones in your wrist.
Right.
Instead of lubricating them and getting the nice blood flow through them and strengthening them with lots of reps and fresh blood and no inflammation. I'm actually using the mace to recover from the gosh darn kettlebell snatch, which is overhead. Thank you, Vince Garanda. I should have listened to you. Anyways, and it's flexion. Anyways, you can't keep your wrist with a steel club. If you notice my videos, my hands, right, even though the end of the mace is either near my ass or is way over my head near the ceiling, my hands are near my body, unlike the kettlebell snatch.
Exactly.
My hands are either at my belly button in the front of my body, or they're touching the back of my neck when the mace is behind my body, in the pendulum.
Okay.
But it's the best thing for your shoulders to open them up, and it's actually rehabilitative. It's not destructive.
See, you're getting a real education here.
How many people in India do you know with shoulder tendonitis or torn rotator cuffs? Zero. Zero. Because the East Indians, they do clubs, they do the mace, they do the juri.
Well, the jori means club in India. The jori is a
They do all kinds of heavy weight. They have half a tree for crying out loud, but they keep their hands close to their body.
Well, not just the Indians who train in the Akara, but also the Persians in the Zircone. If you notice, when they swing the meals, their hands are holding the clubs
right next to the earlobe.
Right alongside the earlobe, right next to the chest, right up near the chest, and they're swinging in a very relaxed, rhythmic, almost like Richard Army McGuire told me, almost like a massaging motion as you're swinging. You know,
and Richard Army always said, lead with your elbows.
Yeah, and he's also a former New Englander from Massachusetts.
Yeah. And that poor guy, somebody really burned him bad because now he doesn't even help us anymore with his nice videos. So somebody ticked him off, and Richard Army was such a great teacher and introduced tens of thousands of people to rehabilitative circular strength.
I'm going to toast him right now because he's
him and Paul. But you know what? Paul's not a quitter. Paul had his medical issues last year, but he's doing the best he can. He's still teaching. He's still giving lifelong knowledge to people.
Well,
and save people's lives. Because if you wreck your shoulders, you can't do any sports. So Paul, God bless you, Paul, if you're listening to us. But thank you for saving people's lives so we can continue to do sports till we're 85, 90, 95 years old.
Well, Paul Taras Wolkowinski had an unexpected trauma of being told he had a serious form of cancer that he thought
was it lymphoma?
He thought it was in the prostate, but it apparently spread, and he had to undergo chemotherapy, and he still did not give up training.
I saw him the other day swinging the mace, the red mace.
He is doing a post. I would say his first post-illness workshop in Perth, Australia, is coming up, and this is his first public appearance because he had to cancel the Indian Club World Tour because when he found out,
he didn't apologize to everybody.
Yeah, when he found out about the cancer, he had to cancel it, his world tour, and he was at my house on his first Indian Club World Tour, and I took him to a very nice lunch buffet, and we did a talk show and a video out in my backyard, and it's on YouTube. And he was with me. This is when he way before he was sick, but he had to cancel.
Well, you mean this is the days when Zuckerberg used to allow you to have live chat on Facebook with Mr. Santangelo and Paul and everybody else.
I used to be able to do shows galore, Jeff, in all different ways. I used to be able to.
Yeah, but you know what? We're getting cheated because I wanted to go on tonight and just help a few folks, some working class folks like myself. You go to Home Hardware. Oh no, it's Home Hardware in Canada. It's Home Depot down where you live. Anyways, so Home Depot and get a fence post wall and learn how to use it. They have them for 10 pounds, 16 pounds, I think 8 pounds is the lightest one.
I think you should get another 16-pounder.
So, yeah.
You know why?
But you don't need to go 30 pounds.
No.
Heroes, they want to say, oh, you're not a mace lifter until you can do 30 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what? I like my elbows not having tendonitis and cracking when I'm at work or watching TV. And you hear your elbows go crack.
Yeah, but are they
30-pound mace.
Are they really and truly swinging what they claim to be swinging, or are they full of shit?
Unless you've been doing it. I know a guy in Virginia. He's a great guy. I won't mention his name, but he's Italian, the Gus. But he's a great man, and he does 40-pound garters all the time, and he's awesome. He's really doing it. And he can actually pause when he gets each rep when he goes down to his belly button with his hands. And he does excellent form, but he didn't do it 2 months ago. Started 2 months ago. He's been doing it for years.
Well,
he starts up with 10 pounds.
Before I do a tribute to Richard Army McGuire, I just want to say that Ken Thiessen has a video on YouTube where he, and this is a habit that Ken Thiessen always does. He always weighs his object, his exercise tool before he uses it. He weighs the homemade Gada 75 pound.
Wow.
And he swings it. Then he swings it for repetitions after he weighs it, and he zooms the camera in on the scale so you can see that it really does weigh 75 pounds. Then he swings it. It's on YouTube. You can ask Kenny whenever you see him, and he will probably give you the link to it. And
actually, just have him post on the Brotherhood page.
Yeah,
if you could, James, could you?
Huh?
That way we can all enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, if I find it, I'll post it. But it shows him weighing it. Zoom in.
He won't mind if you post it.
Zoom in. Oh no, he'd love it. Zoom in on the scale, 75 pounds. You can see the number. Then he swings it, and
cool.
You know, it's your typical homemade Gada with either a bamboo pole or a shovel handle with the screws. You know, a few screws going through at one end. You know, he uses, he likes to use the Sackcrete quick drying fence post concrete by Sackcrete.
A lot of this fence posting going on.
Yeah, it's fence post again. It's called Sackcrete fence post concrete.
I'm going to tell you another great exercise. Okay, you know the auger, the fence post auger that you pull apart?
Yeah.
You dig in the ground and you pull the dirt up. You know what I'm talking about?
I've never seen that before.
Did you put a fence up in your backyard, or did you have somebody else put it in?
No, I never put up anything aside from my smoker, Brinkman smoker.
Well, anyways, if you're like a cattle farmer, for example,
yeah,
you're out in like Montana or something, in a big ranch. So you're all by yourself. You don't really want to, do it with a diesel engine thing. But in the olden days, when I was a kid, we put in a fence in our backyard. So my father said, "Here's your Cadillac." What's it? Yeah, meaning Cadillac. He said, "Oh, muscles?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You dig all the fence holes, the holes for the fence posts." So he gave me this tool. You buy it at a hardware store. Everybody will know what this is. You said the shovel handle. So picture two shovel handles next to each other, and they're attached at the bottom with this two little shovels. It's like a the tongs. It's almost like a tong. You know, when you pick up ice cubes, or you use it on a grill.
Oh, yeah, I can picture it. Okay.
Anyway, so the tong handles is what you have a shovel handle. It literally is two shovel handles, and then at the bottom is the two mini shovels. So when you pull the two shovel handles apart, instead of being parallel, like the letter I, two letter I's, it turns into a V shape because you're pulling it apart. So that means it's squeezing the dirt So you punch it in a hole in the ground, and when you pull it apart, it grabs the dirt. And then you go to either side of your body and you release it into two parallel letter I's,
Okay.
and it drops the dirt.
Well, when you said auger, the first thing that came to mind was
Like a corkscrew, you're thinking, right?
when I used to go ice fishing.
Yeah. That's a corkscrew auger. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a fence post digger. So, like, I work in a quarry. If I got a fence post digger, I'll call it, or a fence post auger, whatever, a manual one, I can actually move piles of dirt to my left and to my right and get a hell of a good workout on my rhomboids, my traps, and my side deltoids and my rear deltoids.
Okay.
And plus you're lifting up the dirt, but only up to your nose level. Like, the two shovel handles. I'll have to get a set. And then
if you
and then post the video.
Yeah, like if you want to screw around and make your own homemade garter, usually I think the easiest way is to save one of those protein powder plastic containers. They seem to have an ideal shape.
Yeah.
Paul Walkowinski prefers the clay pots, but that can get pricey, constantly buying very large clay pots. But save the whey protein powder containers, get the Sakrete fence post concrete, and make sure you use a power drill, put some long, high quality stainless steel screws through the end, and just to screw around with it, and make yourself one. Or just get another 16-pound maul hammer and try to swing.
Yeah, it's already made. It's gonna last a lifetime.
Well, you could swing both of them like Persian meals, like Persian clubs. You could swing two maul hammers, 16-pound maul hammers, and honestly, I think because of torque, I think the force is much greater than 16 pounds. To be honest with you.
On my 16-pound sledgehammer, because it's metal on the bottom. See, on my fence post maul it's a wooden shaft, and then there's the 16-pound weight of the iron,
which is better.
But on my sledgehammer, it's 16 pounds. I could actually put those magnetic weights on the bottom, like two and a half pound weights, and I can make it 18 and a half pounds. Then if I had another one, it's 21 pounds. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, because what you're saying is with the sledge, there's it's metallic in the center of the handle.
No, it's in the center of the handle. It's wood, but the metal on the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
The metal block touches the ground 100%.
Oh.
Like the wood stops about 3/4 of the way into the block.
Oh, okay.
That means on the bottom of my sledgehammer, it's 100% surface, metal surface. So I have magnetic weights downstairs because I have a pulley machine.
Right.
And so I took those metal plates and I actually stuck them. The magnets are so strong, you actually have to pull them off with force. You have to pull them off of the bottom of my sledgehammer. They're not going to fly anywhere. They're not going to hit my television or anything like that.
So you could easily slap on weight onto that sledge.
Yes. I can make it 18 and a half because the 2.5 pound, the little circular weights and the discs, the little circular magnetic discs, and so that the 2.5 pounds each.
Is that similar to when a baseball player warms up with those donuts on his baseball bat?
That's different.
That's different. Okay.
Yeah, that's no. On the bottom of my sledgehammer, it's a magnet. Like I put a magnet, like 2.5 pound discs.
Right.
They don't slide over it. They don't go in that. They don't even hit the handle. Like the magnets just attach themselves to the metal. See, people do this with kettlebells too. There's things they have for kettlebells. They're magnetic discs that you put on the bottom of a kettlebell if you want to add more weight to it.
Yeah.
And they won't go flying off and hit somebody at the gym.
Exactly.
So
you
the
don't
magnets
want,
are that strong.
yeah, you don't want a dangerous.
Like the centrifugal force of the mace swing, right? It doesn't affect it because the magnet is very, very powerful.
Yeah, you don't want a dangerous projectile, is what you're.
No, exactly. There you go.
You know.
The only way a mace can be a dangerous projectile is if you get a guy like Bill Gates with weak wrists that decides to swing a 16-pound sledgehammer for the first time without ever actually holding his dick to take a piss.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, he has to pay people to hold his dick when he takes a piss. And if he stole everything from all the other inventors.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
but he's a good businessman. You know, business is the greediest thing there ever was.
Well, you know,
There's a saying in the Bible, if you get what it is, thou the profits from something.
inventions get held back, get suppressed, like Nikola Tesla, like you know, people like him. You know, where Thomas Edison, the sellout to J.P. Morgan, ends up in our history books, but Nikola Tesla, who deserved to be in the history books, is not even there.
Yeah.
You know, and also there's an Italian guy who actually invented the telephone but never got credit for it. Alexander Graham Bell is not the inventor of the telephone at all. He's the Bill Gates of
Zuckerberg's not the inventor or the creator or the founder of Facebook.
right.
Two founders at Harvard that were on the Harvard rowing team. And they invented Facebook being Harvard undergraduate students so they could look at the girls' faces at Harvard. It was a scheme. It was like a dating scheme.
Did you know that
Turned into something different.
Did you know that I could do a lot more with my MySpace profile than I could with Facebook? I was able to change the background to anything I wanted. Animations worked. I was able to do a lot of things. Post, you know, videos, or I mean, it was really more versatile. It looked more like a website page than a social media page. But because of the phone, because there was something about Facebook that made it easier to use a smartphone, that's what made it popular. But you're right. He's like Bill Gates. You know, he stole and took credit for other people's ideas and inventions, and you know that.
I was watching a movie last week about the guy that invented the intermittent windshield wipers, and Ford really screwed him, and they had to pay like $3 million in court, and then Chrysler had to pay him $18 million in court.
Yeah.
He held him in court for 10 years. And he lost his wife and everything else because Ford had been trying to invent these intermittent wipers since the 1950s, but he did it on his own. He was a PhD in engineering, this particular fellow.
Right.
And but the corporate greed, they wouldn't buy the intellectual knowledge off of him, the proprietary knowledge. I thought that's what America is founded upon, was ingenuity and encouraging young people or inventors to makes of it. Now, so I guess I told, and then I go back to Home Depot and I buy a friggin' fence post, Mauler. How come that turns out to be my favorite all-time training tool? I don't get it. It's like Paul. He uses, gets a piece of pottery,
right?
And he makes a counter from a shovel or a piece of bamboo. The most basic things. And like you said, what's the name of that concrete that Paul uses in the pot? The clay pot? What
Yeah, the clay. The clay pot idea.
What's the cement called?
Well, the one I mentioned before.
Yeah, but you're putting the protein jar there.
The best cement the best stone substance that gets the hardest and resists cracking would be Sacrete fence post concrete by Sacrete.
Is that what the Atlas balls out of?
I'm sorry?
Is that what they make the Atlas balls out of? You know those Atlas spears that the strongmen lift up?
I've seen the molds for making Atlas balls, but I'm not sure what's used. But that would be the best material to use for.
Yeah, because they drop those things like 300 pounds each, and they don't crack.
Right. Well, you see, the concept of using clay pots, Paul Walkowinski got it from the Indians in Varanasi, India, during the Cobra Snake Festival. So, yeah. But the problem is, the clay pots are cheap in India. They're not cheap in the United States. So I would say.
Why not? They should be cheap. You got in a friggin' New Mexico or Arizona, half the houses down there, like Pueblo, Colorado, and everything else.
Adobe.
They make goddamn red clay. Go to New Mexico.
Adobe.
See what they make their houses out of. Mud.
They call it Adobe, the Adobe Hacienda.
That's right. So what the hell's how come they're so expensive in America? If they can build a house for a poor man in New Mexico, then why is it so expensive to go to a garden store on a corner lot in New Jersey or Massachusetts and pay $50 for a goddamn plant pot?
You're absolutely right. If they
you put next to the Madonna in your backyard.
Adobe, clay is so plentiful and cheap in the American Southwest and in Mexico. Why are the pots at Home Depot so pricey? And by the way, they used to be called clay pots. Now they call them terracotta, so they can jack up the friggin' price. Give me a break. So we're getting back to something that works, which is the protein powder container. You go to Home Depot, you get a bag of that Sacrete fence post concrete. That's the hardest, most durable material you can find. You make it. It'll dry fast. Hopefully you'll find a real thick bamboo pole. You probably have to get that online, or you can use a shovel handle. Let's say you use a shovel handle just to get it over with. All right, so
an old shovel down your basement.
Use a shovel handle. Well, I'm sure shovel handles by themselves shouldn't be too expensive. And make yourself
who owns the stores, James? Go to your grandfather's old house or some old relative where they can't do shoveling anymore, garden work. Go get the shovel handle there. Unscrew the rusty shovel at the end of the thing and use the handle.
Exactly. Hey, you know what?
Just like that guy in Idaho recycles the goddamn wood.
You know what? This guy, I know that's on. He's a member of the International Brotherhood of Palavan Group. His name is Girish Sarma.
Yeah.
He's from India, but he's I think he's a student now at Nebraska. I think a university of Nebraska, and I don't know if he graduated yet for engineering, but he made a gada that was 50 pounds out of a tree branch, and he took mud and he filled up an old basketball with mud, stuck a tree branch in there, and secured it somehow. Let it dry in the sun, and it was 50 pounds, and he swung it for repetitions, and the thing never fell apart.
Wow.
You know, and when I say torque, I mean this was a long tree branch.
But you know what the beauty of that is? We really overlooked everything.
Yeah.
How about the life of that tree in his hands? The energy of the life of that tree.
The wood, right, exactly.
Just like the hickory when I grab it.
Well, it was alive. It was alive at one time, you know.
Yeah.
It gives off energy.
It still has the ions in it, James.
It gives off an aura of some sort. Yeah.
It still has the ions.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, compared to Scott Sonen's club bell. I mean, you know, Scott Sonen threatened to sue Army McGuire for using the word circular training because he claimed to have a patent on the word. I said to
CSS.
I said to Army McGuire, I says,
system or something like that.
how can you patent words that are in the dictionary?
Yeah.
They're in the dictionary already. Circular training, circular training. They're in the dictionary already. How could you sue somebody? How could you patent circular training?
Well, the same way that Charles Dickens could sue you or me. And they said at the beginning of the book, A Tale of Two Cities, it was a time of, if you copied his words, that are all the simple words, the, if, it was a time, you know, that's in the dictionary, but it's the way that Charles Dickens arranged his words. We can't arrange those words in the same way that Scott Sonen arranged the words.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
But if you're Bill Gates or you're Mark Zuckerberg, I guess you could steal Facebook from two Harvard rowing teammates that are brothers, and their father had to come in and sue Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg had to pay these two boys $6 million in court.
Oh, really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
$6 million to the two brothers from Harvard.
Well, you know what? The human race has always been a vile species. I mean, on Netflix, I'm watching a movie about the Roman Catholic Church during the Renaissance period called the Borgias. The Borgias.
The Borgias, yeah.
I never seen so much hypocrisy, corruption, murder, greed, evil. Let me tell you something. The Cardinals visited bordellos a lot more than the population of Rome did.
I know, and there's a lot of Irish priests that have children.
Oh, there's a burial. There's a burial ground of fetus. Skeleton babies. A mass burial in Ireland of skeleton babies near a nunnery where there were nuns.
Wow!
Yeah, they found there was it's a mass grave of skeletons. So what must have happened back then was the nuns, you know, I guess.
They probably got threatened by the head honcho priest or something.
Yeah, I guess that's the kind of meat that priests eat on Friday. None, you know.
Yeah.
And they must have murdered the babies after they were born to not to get in trouble. And but then again, there's all, you know, the homosexual pedophilia with the priests.
Here we go. The Catholic Church is shocked at the hundreds of children buried at. So, engineers use ground-penetrating radar to search the mass grave at the former mother and baby home in Tuam, County Galway.
Oh.
So, yeah. So if you'll forgive me if I am skeptical of the professional shock of Ireland's clergy, politicians, and official inquiring bodies, we know too much about. Yeah, it's in Tuam. There's several articles about it. Tuam. It's in County Galway. There's hundreds of children buried from Ireland's clergy in a mass grave.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of secrets kept from the public. I'm sure
the unmarried mothers run by the Bond Secure Sisters in Tuam. The historian Catherine goes on and on and on. Archbishop of Tuam, Michael Neary, said he is deeply shocked and horrified. The church have known about the abuse of children in its institutions. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Wow.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. You know, there's a lot of skeletons in a lot of closets, and the skeletons are falling out now. And I think, but getting back to fitness, I want to propose a toast to Richard Army McGuire. He's the first person to introduce me to circular training. All right, and something I know the last time I spoke to him, we used to talk on the phone. He was undergoing. He had a detached retina in both eyes. He had to have surgery in both eyes. I hope he's doing well by now. He had some wood turning friends, and he tried to make his own clubs. But there's something about American and not all Indian, but some Indian wood turners. They can't get it through their head about the conical shape. They're still making fat wine bottles and pickle barrels, clubs. They don't understand the science of torque that the ancients.
I think they do, James, and here's what comes to my mind. I think because wood is not homogeneous like maybe metal is, or rubber, like a rubber compound.
Right.
If you use the same ingredients, because wood is not exactly the same, maybe the wine bottle shape is a little easier to control. So say you promise to sell 2 clubs of parity. From what I heard from this fellow in Idaho, he says on his webpage a while ago when I was one of his customers, he said that, yep, you might have different colors. Color might be slightly off because I need to make sure that if I'm selling you 2.5 pound clubs or 2 pounds 1/4 or 3 pounds and a half or whatever, that you're getting the exact weight on both clubs.
Wow.
And so maybe the wine bottle shape helps the manufacturer control his inventory better, whereas the conical shape, you might have more porous. Maybe it's from the bottom of the tree versus the top of the tree. I don't know.
Well, you're using a template. So you're using a template. So the measurements should be.
That's Kershey, whatever his name is, right? Because he's got 2 beautiful Indian clubs.
Well, he uses a template to make his conical Persian meals.
And who cares if they're off by a couple of ounces each? Who cares? As long as they're like, because you keep switching your hands anyway. Your next workout, you'll probably grab the other meal.
I mean, I can care less if the clubs are 22.75 or 21.50. Or whatever, or 17.
You even use dumbbells, right? I'm sure the left dumbbell and the right dumbbell don't weigh the same because maybe one of them's been banged up a lot more than the other one.
Yeah, but when it applies to circular training, you know, which is a three-dimensional swing as opposed to a linear one-dimensional curl or press with a barbell or dumbbell, I don't think the exact weight has to be standardized. Where, you know, as long as the two clubs weigh the same, I mean, but they don't have to be exactly like 20 pounds, 25
Nothing's
pounds.
exact. Even the tires on your car, each one weighs a little bit different out of the 4 tires on your car. That's just the way the world is.
Now what about the weather? Well, what about humid days versus dry days?
Right.
Or, you know, wood has a tendency to expand and contract a little bit, doesn't it?
It depends on, you better make sure it comes from the same tree, because maybe one tree is 300 years old where all the rings are a little tighter versus a younger tree. I don't know. I'm not a wood biologist, but I'm just saying.
No, I have. I posted it. I mean, I uploaded it. I'm not sure if it's still on the group, but I still have it. About. It's a directory of wood hardness. It shows you the hardness of different woods, and I know the Native Americans, Indians, as well as the Aborigines, use something called ironwood. You know, maybe they made the war clubs out of it, which actually, incidentally, might be a challenge to swing also is Native American war clubs.
Yeah, but it depends where the Native American tribe is. If you're from Canada, we have a lot of Aboriginals up here, right? And First Nations, we call them, First Nations. Anyways, but they might have different trees up here, like birch trees, versus maybe in the Southwest, it's a different wood. Maybe in Tennessee, the Indians down there in the Smoky Mountains would use different woods.
Right. Like for instance, Christian Darce of Revolution Clubs out of Houston, Texas, who I know well. He that's where I got some of my clubs from. He uses white oak because white oak seems to be indigenous of the southern states.
Yeah.
Okay, white oak. He also uses hickory, not because he was thinking about Indian clubs, but he uses hickory because his original hobby was to make wooden swords for like mock medieval battles.
Yeah.
And he says hickory, when hickory breaks, it splits slowly. When oak breaks, it splinters.
Yeah.
Then I thought about the old story that the original in Ireland with the Irish stick fighting, the original shillelagh was oak. Then the English destroyed or tried to destroy every oak tree in Ireland, and that's when the Irish started making them out of blackthorn.
Ooh.
The shillelaghs, okay, which is a hardwood. And
it's a beautiful wood too.
Well, the whole process of making the shillelagh is it's art. It's an artisan. It's a craft that goes back, you know, maybe back to Celtic times, ancient times, and the Blackthorn Forest is in Wicklow County, which is a south eastern part of Ireland. That's where the forest is. But, you know, it's interesting to learn the history of these things. Now, I know oak is a great hardwood. The oak tree was sacred to the Norsemen, to the Vikings. That was like their church. Oak was like a sacred thing.
And they made the ships out of oak.
Yeah. Oh, those Viking longships. Oh, you know, you needed a pair of balls on you. Like you had to be so courageous to go across the Atlantic Ocean in that boat, in that long boat, that ship. I mean, they went all over in those things. You know, and they're still making them now in Denmark. I saw it on TV. There's a company where they have races. They have longboat Viking longboat races, and they still make them. And I think they are oak. Matter of fact, I believe so. And so the woods have different hardness, different densities. Um, I have a pair of 8-pound conical Persian clubs made from maple that Revolution had already, they had it in their inventory in their warehouse. So, he asked me, he says, look, I got a pair of, you want a pair of 5 or 8 pounders made? I already have one made, a pair, but they're maple. I says, oh, I don't care. I'll take it. What's wrong with maple? I'll take them.
A Viking ship was built beside a river or an inlet of the sea. A tall oak tree.
A fjord. They call them fjords.
A tall oak tree was cut to make the keel. The builders cut long planks of wood for the sides and shorter pieces for supporting ribs and crossbeams. They used wooden pegs and iron rivets to fasten the wooden pieces together. So you're right, it was oak.
See, but that's what amazes me is how to make a boat like that seaworthy with iron rivets. Like even during during Queen Elizabeth I with the English man of war ships. I mean, to make any wooden ship that could travel the world and make it seaworthy, where it's not going to leak on you. To me, that's an amazing skill. I think so.
Yeah, but I also read a book about the Nantucket whalers from the 1700s and early 1800s, the whale ships. And what they would do is they had tar, and a man was responsible on the ship for heating up the tar to keep the boat leak free.
So the Charles W. Morgan over at Mystic Seaport, the one I went aboard, the Charles W. Morgan, which is the last existing old-time whaling ship, there's a good chance that they use tar in building.
Yeah, and also on the sea voyage itself.
Oh, okay.
Inside the ship.
All right. Yeah, because I've also been to New Bedford. There's a whaling museum in New Bedford, Mass, which is not far from the Bourne River and Sandwich and Hyannis, Port Hyannis, and and there's a glass museum there. It's a lovely area.
Sandwich has a nice glass museum.
Yeah, and I think Plymouth Rock is not far from there also. New Bedford was kind of a rundown town. It was kind of desolate.
It was very, very, very prosperous in the early 1800s with sperm whale oil.
Yeah, spermaceti.
Yes, spermaceti. That's right.
The same spermaceti that you find in a shake
and
weight.
Somebody in Pennsylvania.
In a shake weight infomercial. Yeah.
Somebody in Pennsylvania discovered oil, the petroleum product, and then it was over because whale oil was very, very expensive because they had to go all the way from Nantucket or New Bedford or New York Harbor all the way to the South Pacific around Cape Horn at the bottom of South America.
Oh, that was dangerous. Yeah.
And go all the way to the islands in the South Pacific, to the open seas, to the warm waters, to get. That's where all the
sperm whale.
The whale fields were, because they were so far away from land, because the whales were getting killed off for the oil, and so they went way far away from land. That's why it's so dangerous, and there's a lot of deaths, a lot of shipwrecks.
Well, the horn is known for its constant storms.
Yes.
And that's why that was the main reason for the Panama Canal. You know, I mean, because the Horn was dangerous. People were afraid.
Very dangerous.
They were afraid to sail around the Horn, and they rather go past Africa and the Indian Ocean to get to the South Pacific. It was a much longer trip, but it was safer. It was much safer than the Horn. But
They actually went from Nantucket
Mhm.
to the Canary Islands and to Portugal. That was their first stop because they had to get provisions. So if they got a whale along the way into Portugal, into what's that thing at the island there, in the middle of the ocean there, that's Portuguese owned, Azores.
Oh, the Azores.
The Azores there, and that was one of the first stop. Then the Canary Islands. That's off the coast of Africa. That's how they get to South America. Because if they stayed inland on the continent of North and South America and Central America, they had ferocious storms like in the Caribbean. Like those big storms we had last September in Puerto Rico and everything, and
Right.
destroyed all that.
Right.
And, yeah, Turks and Caicos and all that stuff, and Haiti, and so if they went towards Africa, it was very calm. But it would cost them time, but it was worth it.
Right. Exactly.
And they also did trading as well.
Yeah. Well.
Anyways, it's 10 o'clock. It's 10:05 my time.
It's getting late for you. But we did a good educational show, and I think I just want to say those maul hammers, 16-pound maul hammers, is probably the best value in circular training today.
And it doesn't hit you in the ass like a sledgehammer.
There you go, and it has lovely long hickory handles. And I just want to say, I hope you fully recovered, Richard Army McGuire. You're the man.
Paul too. God bless Paul.
And Paul Terrace Walkowinski, very happy he's doing a workshop in Perth, Australia.
Tell Ken Thiessen I said hi, and I want to see that 75-pound mace. The Gata.
I will look for that video. Like I said before, it was Richard McGuire who first introduced me to circular training, and you can see him on the web on YouTube. Wonderful,
that's right.
Wonderful educational. Yeah, wonderful educational videos. So, plus I will post this show on the International Brotherhood of Polyvons. Feel free to join all you ancient warrior enthusiasts and circular training enthusiasts. So,
and hopefully Kashi does some more postings. I like his with the Persian meals there. He has good videos.
He does. I'm the one that puts them on the group. He doesn't, but that's okay. Whatever he has that's good, like from Zircones in Iran, I put them on the group. So, but I will search for Ken Thiessen's.
One of my favorite videos is the Iron Sheik against Hulk Hogan there with their meals. Is it Hulk? No, it's Ric Flair. It's Ric Flair.
Now, no, that was, who that was? That was Precious Paul Ellering. But you know what happened with when Bob Backlund really did not swing the Iron Sheik's clubs, because when you see the video, the clubs that Bob Backlund was swinging were white. They weren't tan. They had to make a pair of lighter clubs because Bob Backlund could not swing the Iron Sheik's original Persian clubs. He couldn't do it. Nobody really was able to, with proper form, was able to swing the Iron Sheik's Persian clubs.
One thing, a very nice thing that I learned from Rick Brown was about that wrestler from the early 1900s, Mr. Gama. He's from India. And remember I did the other day, I did the Gama cast. So Mr. Gama came to North America, and he challenged any American to wrestle him. And he never lost a wrestling match. And so they said, how come you could beat everybody in wrestling? This is at the turn of the century. He says, because I do something called the Gamma Cast. Gamma. You've heard of him, right?
The Great Gamma, retired undefeated.
Yes. But he took an 80-pound club.
Yeah.
And he did the Gamma Cast. But he did hundreds of reps a day with an 80-pound steel club.
Well, he also did Hindu squats and Hindu push-ups.
Yeah. You see his physique. Do you think he ever had shoulder tendonitis or rotator cuffs? No.
He was 200, and he was 5'7", 275 pounds solid.
Wow.
Yeah. He was quite a man.
Those are the guys we should be watching, not the steroid freaks like Dave Draper.
Why do you think I speak so highly of the Shenna board? You know, when I do the Persian half moon push up and the Persian push up and the Hindu push up and all the movements with the Shenna. I mean,
the moon cast or the moon.
The moon cast. People
half moons.
People really underestimate the Shenna board.
And the beautiful thing about the Shenna board is you have to do it perfect, otherwise the Shenna is going to go flying across the room.
Well, you have to be like Army McGuire says. If you don't want to spend the money, if you don't want to get ripped off by some wood turner trying to sell his Shenna for X amount of money, he says, get a pair of clay bricks. Get a pair of bricks and use the bricks as a Shenna. I says, Army McGuire, you know what else you can do with the bricks? You can invert them. You can do them horizontally and vertically, because when you do push-ups with your palms facing each other, then you're hitting your biceps more, and you know the other way horizontally you're only hitting your triceps and shoulders and chest. I mean, so you know it goes back to the supination pronation of the hands, the positions. You know, pronation and you know supination, pronation. I just want the folks to understand what I mean. You know, one complete turn of the wrist to the other. You know, so you whippersnappers out there got a real education today.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Maybe we can have Ken Thiessen on next time, or somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, really
nice.
I mean, unless you said you don't have a Gmail account, so I can't get you on Google Hangout video. But if you ever seen a Google Hangout live show on YouTube, this is how it works. When you talk, you go full screen automatically. When I talk or somebody else talks, they go full screen automatically. And guess what? You can have like a half a dozen people on your show. You can have all the guests you want. It could be you. It could be, let's say, a Ken Thiessen. It could be anybody. And everybody is like, it's a group. And they don't charge you for this. You know, if you have a Gmail account.
Well, then this weekend, maybe I'll set myself up.
Yeah, if you have a Gmail account, then you can have a YouTube channel. You know, to put your videos, if you have such videos, or you can, you know, we can actually do video chat like I just explained, like, you know, where your voice activation will make you go full screen video automatically, and it's a beautiful thing, you know. But
the thing I liked about this discussion is that it forces one to listen to the other person like in the olden times. And I think that's why older people are a lot smarter and can write better and can articulate sentences much better than these millennials any day of the week.
Well, you know why? Because there's no distractions of any kind, but the
I'm
person's
not looking at your face, or I'm not looking at your jester hat, or I'm not looking at
my
the.
jester hat.
Yeah,
My
it just.
jester. Well, I mean, I'm not wearing any funny hats tonight because
Yeah.
I'm trying to be serious. But I'm saying is that, right now they see you in competition with your kettlebell, with the blue T-shirt, and they hear you, but they're focusing on the content of what you're saying. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Like if I had the king's crown on, it'll be sparkling, and everybody will be like staring at the friggin' crown or the jester hat, and they might not be really listening to what I'm saying.
I like the animals that you had on, the bird or something like that.
The bird.
The tiger.
The crested geckos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Well,
over.
what were the other animals that you had? Something on the two birds or something.
Oh, I don't have any bird. I have scorpions, but I don't know if you want me to hold a
Who
scorpion.
was on that show that time though? They were talking. They were was it a monkey or something?
Nah, I don't have any monkeys. I mean, there's monkeys in my neighborhood, but I don't have any. I don't have any monkeys.
Yeah, the monkeys that drive the school bus speeding across the parking lot.
Oh my God! Yeah,
And then they put the safety lights on when they're parked on the other side of the parking lot.
What? I know there's people that hate speed bumps, but you know what? The speed bump could be a blessing in disguise.
I know.
You know what? You know what? Why they're a blessing in disguise? Picture somebody speeding in a parking lot that could possibly kill someone. Picture them going over a big speed bump and damaging their vehicle.
Yes.
Now, wouldn't that be like
That would
really?
be justice.
That would be a pleasure to watch.
Yes. Tough guys.
Oh, you want to be a big tough guy? You want to speed in a parking lot, huh? Hey, guess what? You bottomed out, you bastard.
And we're all like, "Hey, look at me with my loud muffler on my Honda."
Oh, and what about the music resonating? They got the stereo system on full blast.
Oh, the stereo system would crash right through the back window.
They got the rap. They got the rap. They got the rap music blasting, and they got the the fancy hubcaps that spin around. It costs $500 each.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the motherfucker bottoms out on a big speed bump.
Yep, that'd be beautiful.
Oh man, yeah, I know the. Hey, if I ever run into you, I got extra Saint Benedict medallions. I don't know if you're born Roman Catholic, but I got for the priests use them for exorcisms. I got the blessing, and I got extra ones, so I got
Nice.
I got one waiting in the wings for you.
Yeah, I wanna meet you personally so you can teach me how to use the meals better.
The meals, I'll be
Here's your meals.
after my hernia procedure is healed and I'm ready to go. I'm going to get back into it. And what I was doing was I was doing 2 Shena days a week. I was doing 2 Persian meal days. I was doing 2 power band days. So that's 2, 4, 6. So I was on a 6-day split routine.
And then you had the power bands on with the Shena.
Sometimes I put the power bands on with the Shena. Sometimes I just did higher reps with the Shena. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the power bands, you go on. I got them on Amazon. They're wonderful. I think the toughest power bands, if you want to spend more money, is made by Dave Draper. He has his own company now. Dave Draper is actually a pretty cool guy now that he's in his 60s. He's not. His writings, his articles are very articulate and very intellectual, and
he's a changed person because he actually bottomed out again with alcoholism. He was homeless.
Really? Really?
Oh yeah, look up Dave Draper. Yeah, in his 50s.
Oh
He crashed economically. He lost everything. He's out in the streets.
So he was much worse than what happened to Mike Tyson.
Damn right.
He was
But a
worse.
lot of people love Dave. Like, a lot of these, 1970s bodybuilders. He had friends. They said, you got to straighten yourself out.
Well, he was he's probably a very likable person. Where I hear Arnold had Arnold Schwarzenegger to his friends. He had very short arms and very deep pockets,
Mm.
like like a skink lizard. They got the little short arms. Yeah,
Mm.
he never dipped when he was out with his buddies.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he made his Franco Colombo was pay for everything. Doctor Franco, the chiropractor.
Yeah, Dr. Franco.
They're very close with Bruno Sammartino. The both of them, all three of them, are great friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, because what happened was Bruno was one of the judges from one of Arnold's Mr. Olympia contests. That's how they met.
Hmm.
Yeah, they became friends. But yeah, Arnold had short arms and deep pockets. He stiffed. It was always somebody else who picked up the tab.
Yeah, they have a credit card commercial in Canada, and they have an alligator. It's this group of people out to supper, and everybody's wearing a different baseball hat with with their favorite hockey team on the baseball around the table, because the credit card companies, they're promoting credit cards with different hockey teams on the. So, anyways, they get this alligator, and so when the waitress comes with the bill, they said, "Oh, does one of your friends have alligator arms?"
Oh, I remember that commercial. I seen it.
And he wouldn't reach into his pocket
He
to
go,
pay the
"Oh,
bill.
I got the check. I got it. Don't worry." He's trying to reach for it with his little short arm. Yeah, that was funny. I got it. Don't worry. I'll pick it up this time.
Yeah.
Hey.
George Costanza. I'll get it next time.
I'll get it next. Oh, I posted you saw George Costanza in the wallet?
Yeah, the exploding wallet.
Yeah, I knew an accountant. Not to change the subject, but we're gonna say goodnight anyway. I knew an accountant guy. He looked like Woody Allen. He was a little pipsqueak. He had a big schnozola. His name was Robert Masidi. He had rubber bands going vertically and horizontally around his wallet because it was so packed with expired coupons. And he was a hoarder. He couldn't throw anything away. And he was so cheap, he used to shut the night lights off on his elderly mother. That's how tight he was. And anytime he used to meet us at a bar, he would look for an empty glass, fill it with water, and tell everyone it was vodka. Yeah, he was tighter than a clam's ass or a crab's ass, or I think a clam's ass is
tighter than a nun's cunt.
Yeah, Ipswich clams.
Yeah.
Kelly's famous roast beef, Route 1 Saugus, and Revere.
Yeah, Revere, as I say, Revere.
Revere is the first Kelly's.
Yeah, Revere Beach.
Revere Beach, and is that near Marblehead and Lynn?
It's other way. It's other way. So you get Revere, then you get Swampscott, and then you get Marblehead.
Marblehead, yeah. And I remember Peabody and Saugus was closer to Salem.
Yes, it's inland.
It's inland, yeah, and everything was famous, world famous roast beef, even though I never really heard of it anywhere else. There was a liquor store called Bunghole Liquor Store up there, but you're talking about great seafood.
Yeah, what's the name of the gym that's in the strip mall where you are? Bunghole Gym or Beach?
No, I never saw that.
In your office, in your car office. You said there's that gym.
Oh, Blink. It's called Blink Fitness.
Blink Fitness.
Blink, and I'm making jokes. Why on earth would they name a gymnasium Blink, unless the guy's last name is Blink?
Could be.
Blink. I mean, you got to be out of your mind to just say, let's see now, what should I name my health club? Blink.
Blink. Yeah.
Now,
Instant results. That means you probably saw steroids in the back room. Blink. Blink your eyes and you'll be Mr. Olympia.
now if it was boink, boink, or bang, or boink, boinky, woinky, I don't know. No, I mean, it's a real girly name for a gym. I mean, uh, my favorite commercials is Planet Fitness.
Oh yeah.
Hey, looking for, hey, you're taking the bro team, bro. You need some trainers who train and drain them suckers' bank accounts. Hey, you drinking the bro team, bro? Hey, bro, you drinking that bro team? Oh man, I tell you, they're on YouTube too, all of them. The guy says, "You like doors?" He shows him to the door.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, All right, listen, Chief, it's getting late by you. Thank you, and I will do what I said before.
All right.
All right, good night.
Thanks, Steve. Talk to you later.
Jeff the Mauler Zambello. Bye bye.
Commodore.
Yeah, that's right, Commodore Zambello.
All
Arr,
right.
arr.